Hey folks, this is Matt Rainwater here, and I have been away from the microphone for like just one hot second. Just one, right? It's only been one. Couldn't have been that long. I hope that y'all have been having a good holiday season so far. Whether you're celebrating Thanksgiving, Friendsgiving, maybe you're not giving anything. I don't know. But I hope that your friends and loved ones are giving you a lot of love, and that you have a lot of things in your life to be thankful of. I have. It's been interesting. I've had a very interesting holiday week last week. Um, Several things happen. Let me just catch y'all up with what's going on in my life. So last weekend, I went with my friends Austin, who you may have heard me talk about Austin Price. We've worked on several things together, not to mention our most current and the one thing that I'm working on right now, Batmonster. So Austin, but then also our friend Dalton, and we all together went over to New Orleans from the good old town of Lake Charles. It's about a 2.5 to 3 hour drive, depending on how your day is going. We made that drive in about 3 hours, I'd say. But we drove to New Orleans, and we spent the weekend over at our friend Paul's house, and we had a grand old time. I do declare, I guarantee, we had a grand old time, and we mostly just played this indie game that Paul had called Wizard of Legend, and we all liked it because Wizard of Legend as a game, it's easy to pick up and play. It's kind of an arcade type game, so there's not like super involved commitment to it. It's very easy for two people to pick it up, play it, and then game over and move on. Which, as I'm getting older, I'm starting to really get into those kinds of video games. I'm not so much into like the heavily story driven games as much these days. I just don't. I don't know. I really like the idea right now of being able to play a video game that I can pick up and put down and have a complete experience in 30 minutes. But that's neither here nor there. Or I can come back to it later. We can talk about it a little bit more later on. I'd like to get back on track talking about what we actually did that weekend, which that was one thing. We played Wizard of Legend a lot. I really like the game. On top of that, we mostly hung out in Metairie, which is a town right outside of New Orleans. I guess I don't know if I call it a town outside of New Orleans or like just a part of the New Orleans metropolitan area. I think that's a more appropriate thing to call it. My aunt actually lives. My aunt and some of my cousins live in Metairie as well, but I didn't visit them that weekend. But I'm definitely going to be seeing them a lot in the near future, and I will get to that and get to the reason for that in just a moment. Um, so yeah, me, Paul, Dalton, Austin, we all hung out and played video games, and then went to eat Korean barbecue, which was pretty fantastic. I have never done a Korean barbecue type situation before. If you haven't, I would describe it as an all you can eat buffet at your table, pretty much. But you have to cook the food. That's like the caveat, if that's a caveat for you. I thought it was pretty awesome myself. I mean, I could see potentially like the other caveats, which is if you don't know how to properly cook meat, you might undercook it, and that could be an issue. That's something that I kind of wonder about. Like, Paul and Dalton did most of the cooking, and they are fairly experienced grillers, so I definitely didn't feel like anything we ate was undercooked. I did for a little bit. So I guess to be more to give more specificity to the scene, let me establish it for you. It ended up being like 5 people sitting at a table. So me, Paul, Dalton, Austin, and Paul's wife, Erin, um, with a bottle of soju, which is basically, as far as I can figure, I haven't actually looked into it. I don't know what this alcohol is made out of, but I'm guessing it is a rice type wine like sake, and it is very smooth. It went down brilliantly, very tasty. So yeah, we have a bottle of soju, and we're sitting at a table. In the middle of this table is a hot plate. It's a grill. It's round shaped, like almost like a, what do they call that? Like a manhole cover. So there's like this big manhole cover size grill in the middle of the table, and some accoutrement to go with your food, such as rice, kimchi. I had some really good kimchi. Some other pickled vegetables and such that were really delicious. Some sauces, like some sesame sauce. And this other sauce, the name of which I cannot remember. I think it's ponzu. Don't quote me on that. But so yeah, that's all the stuff that was at the table, and then everybody pays like a base fee. So we paid like a base fee of basically $30. But with that $30 for 2 hours, we could basically order all the meat we could possibly want to eat. So we got like pork belly, beef brisket, steak, chicken. There was seafood. We didn't order any seafood because Austin isn't really into seafood. And I don't know how I feel about cooking. I'd rather somebody else cook the shrimp, honestly. I don't know. Just not sure. But yeah, we had all this meat, and I did feel a little bit like a little bit concerned about the health and safety situation, just because, I mean, we had 2 tongs, and those tongs were used on raw meat and cooked meat the whole time. And I was just like, I don't know. I mean, I guess we're going to be fine. Sure. I mean, I'm fine. I didn't get sick or anything. That was my only thing. I was like, I'm not so sure about the health and safety of this the setup. But I mean, Paul and Dalton did splendidly. Otherwise, I personally would like to have a dedicated set of cooking equipment that was for raw meat, and then another dedicated set for the cooked meat. That's me. That's my health and safety oriented mind, even though I'm not often that health and safety oriented, but with raw meat I do get a little bit like, I don't know. I haven't had salmonella yet, but I don't want to chance it. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, we all got pretty drunk, which was fun, and and ate way too much food, and it was delicious and felt disgusting the next day. But after that, I mean, we all went to a diner to eat, played some more video games, and then afterwards, I went to Baton Rouge to do several things there. One of which was, I'm pausing for a moment because I'm wondering if I segued too fast. So yeah, we ate Korean barbecue, played video games with my friend Paul. Then me and Austin and Dalton all went back homeward. But Austin and Dalton dropped me off at Baton Rouge because I had plans in Baton Rouge. And I was going to get a ride home to Lake Charles from my dad. If you don't know anything about Louisiana, basically where I live, Lake Charles is on the southwest corner of Louisiana, and New Orleans is on the southeast corner. So basically, you just running along the coast most of that time. Um, but Baton Rouge is a little bit more like if you're going from New Orleans to Lake Charles and you're going to Baton Rouge first, which you have to, just because of the way the interstate system works. Baton Rouge is more like northwest, and then you go southwest from Baton Rouge. But anyway, so Dalton and Austin dropped me off in Baton Rouge at my dad's house. We hung out for like a second, just took a walk around my dad's neighborhood, which he lives in like the Lakeshore Drive area of Baton Rouge, which for the most part is really nice. Except my dad like lives like 20 feet from the interstate. It's kind of nuts. Like I don't get it, but I mean he likes it. Whatever. It's whatever. But so we did that, and they dropped me off. They went home, back to Lake Charles, and I hung out in Baton Rouge for the rest of the week. And in Baton Rouge, what did I do? Part of the time I worked on Trailer Park Warlock. I got 3 pages of Trailer Park Warlock drawn. I got to meet my editor, Ethan LeBlanc, who's the editor for Trailer Park Warlock. We finally got to meet in person. We've only talked to each other, digitally through Line Messenger. And we got to, just get to know each other a little bit more, learn some things about Ethan's life and what he's up to. He has family in Baton Rouge, or near Baton Rouge, Louisiana, I should say. And he himself lives in Los Angeles, where the Webtoon headquarters are. And we learned just kind of like, I don't know, each other's personalities. We're both from Louisiana, have lived in Louisiana. Interestingly enough, to me, like we both were kind of born and raised in Louisiana, so we both have that kind of connection. But yeah, we had a good lunch. And what else did I do that week? Worked in Trailer Park Warlock, like I said. Started sketching some stuff. Like I finished another tarot card deck card. Watched a lot of movies. I don't know, I just got this I just got like this bug in me that was like, I need to watch Orson Welles movies. I've had 2 Orson Welles movies that I wanted to watch, which are The Other Side of the Wind, which was like Orson Welles' last film that he didn't really complete, not entirely, and like some team of people got together and were like, we're gonna complete it, and it ended up on Netflix. And I say complete it, I mean basically what they did, they kind of did what that one guy on YouTube has done with The Thief and the Cobbler, where they basically took all of the footage they could find and essentially, put together the most complete possible version of the footage that they had. Now, with a movie like The Thief and the Cobbler, there were like complete scenes that just were not finished being animated. Whereas with The Other Side of the Wind, it's a live action film, so it seemed like all of the scenes had been finished filming, but not all the scenes were colorized. But also, like the way the movie is shot, it didn't really matter to me. Like the story was totally comprehensible despite all that. Like it seemed like the script had been finished. Like all of the most important scenes had been at least filmed and finished. But I think, and I don't know this for certain, like not all the scenes had been colorized. But I'm not sure. I'm almost wondering if it's better because of it, because the way the film is shot, seems as though the film is shot from like different perspectives, because part of the story takes place amongst like a media landscape where this famous director, who is almost certainly an insert, Orson Welles character, um, is like unveiling his new movie and just like dealing with journalists and the press, and like the whole movie is basically like most of the characters are either part of the press, part of journalism, part of the movie making industry. And so it seems to me, because a lot of the movie is like found footage, and it's like one of the first found footage movies, which is fascinating to me. And it seems to really work because like some of the cameras are in color and then other cameras are in black and white. And for the longest time in the movie, I was like, oh, well, this seems like this is just a complete movie. Like, this was just, they didn't really have to do much. But it occurred to me towards the end of the movie that there were scenes that just were not, I guess they weren't colorized or something. Like, they weren't able to, it looked like they had been shot with, there's like different ways that they do coverage in film. I'm not enough of a film buff to be able to tell you what I'm quite what I'm trying to say. It just seemed like there were a couple of scenes where, had I known otherwise, I would have thought this is just a completed movie. But it seemed as though there were a couple of scenes that were meant to be in color ended up being in black and white. And that's where I'm confused, because it's like, this movie is definitely made in a way where it's intended to be shot as a found footage film with multiple cameras being multiple perspectives of the events happening. The only thing is is it really not finished? And that's where I'm like, is this some kind of like goof on the part of Orson Welles, where he's like, yeah, I didn't really finish this film. And in actuality, he did finish the film, and he just had some like, I'm getting into speculation zone, but like, this is what I started thinking about after watching the movie, because it just seems so odd to me that this movie was not completed. And if it wasn't completed, like, I guess it speaks to Orson Welles and the team that originally made it in terms of all the footage they had to begin with. Anyway, if any of y'all have seen The Other Side of the Wind, by the way, I would love you to leave some comments about this movie. Either on the YouTube link or on Patreon, whatever. I found it to be pretty fascinating, and I'm wondering if y'all have any of your own personal theories about how the movie was made, or just the movie in general. Anyway, I watched that movie, and then I watched another movie on Thanksgiving morning called F for Fake. It was another Orson Welles movie. That one's more straightforward, and it's maybe a documentary, maybe not a documentary, about an art imposter by the name of Elmire. And by art imposter, I mean he painted fakes of like famous artists. That's the basic premise of it. I'm not really going to go that much into it. I would say that movie's it's all right. It's interesting, but it wasn't as captivating for me as The Other Side of the Wind, which I would say is like 100% highly recommend you watch it. It's definitely a weird movie, and there are certainly aspects of that movie that are a testament to the time that they were made in. But I loved it, and that's all I have to say about it. So yeah, I just wanted to watch some Orson Welles movies, ended up doing that, and then my dad came home from his trip to New York on Thanksgiving Day, and me and him had some Thanksgiving dinner together. And during all that time, I had like a very sudden death in the family situation arise. An uncle passed away really unexpectedly. Um, it's been really hard for the whole family. I've been taking out a lot of time just like being present with my family right now because, yeah, it's totally. I know I'm just totally changing the momentum of this conversation, but it's something that we're still kind of dealing with right now and trying to come to terms with and understand. And I haven't been, it's part of the reason why I haven't been on social media as much the last couple of days, or really the last week. I mean, I haven't been on social media because I've been on vacation, but then there's also that. So it's like all happened at once. It's been a little bit um, difficult. I'll just leave it at that. But so that's been kind of my week for the most part, and have not gotten as much stuff done as I would like to. Um, at the same time, I am trying to do some projects that are just for fun projects, like what you're watching me draw right now. I've been slowly chipping away at this Smash Brothers Ultimate drawing because I intend it to be a print to have at conventions in the near future. Now, it's going to take me a little bit because I'm just doing the drawing right now, and eventually I'm going to get to the... Sorry, I'm talking slower because it requires a lot of extra mental capacity to like draw. I don't know why that is. But what was I saying? Yeah, to have at conventions. So there's a lot of people who are into the Smash, myself included. I play this game all the time. So I think that's about as complete a recap I can give of my week. It's a lot of information, probably enough information that you might, if you cared, you'd have to. I say if you cared. That sounds shaming. What's the other way to put it? If you were interested enough, you'd have to listen to twice to get it all and to make sense of it all. Because I don't feel like I put all that information together in a completely linear package. But that's what's going on. If you want to hang out just a little bit longer, I'm going to try and draw this Ridley, which I'm having a hard time with. I do not draw Ridley very often. He's not like my favorite character. He's not my favorite character to play in Smash Brothers, and he's not really like, I don't know, he doesn't spark joy for me. Just not doing it. But I do want to include him in this print that I'm working on because I'm basically making a picture that is like all the heavyweight villains, which pretty much all the villains seem to be heavyweight in Smash Brothers Ultimate. I don't know. That's interesting to think about. I feel like it means something. I don't know what it means, but talk amongst yourselves about that. I'm drawing this for fun too, because like I do need some fun things to draw every once in a while. Like Trailer Park Warlock is fun, but it's also work. So there's a certain amount of anytime something's worked, there's always a certain amount of stress or pressure that comes from it that can bog down enjoyment of the task. Which I mean, I hate to say that, but it's like a reality of working on any like it's not. It could be any comic. Like if let's say if Batmonster, I was making like a full wage living from working on it, there would be times where I'd be like, oh gosh, there's just this aspect of it that's work. But I'm feeling a little bit stressed out about this current chapter I'm working on. A, because I'm a little bit behind, but also B, because I'm not entirely sure about how I'm going to draw the setting for it. Like it's taking place in a diner. And I have an idea. First of all, I'm thinking about basing it on a diner in my hometown. Um, I mean, it was what I was thinking about when I was writing the scene anyway. But I don't. I don't know how to fully put all those details together because it's not just like going to be that. There's going to be some additional elements to it involving vampires and all that stuff. And I didn't really think that stuff through when I was thumbnailing. So that's kind of what I'm like hesitating about. I'm not super excited about the fact that I'm hesitating like that, but that is usually, I think lately I've noticed that I hesitate most when it comes to drawing stuff when it's like figuring out setting stuff, because if you really don't get a setting correct, if you don't do it properly, it can really goof up your story, you know. I just there's just so much that you can accomplish with a good setting. So I'm kind of, I wouldn't call it procrastinating, but I am warming up by doing the Smash Brothers thing. I'm doing something where I don't have to think so intensely. I'm just giving my brain a second to waffle around for a little bit and have fun drawing a space pirate dragon or whatever the heck Ridley's supposed to be. But the current episode of Trailback Warlock I'm working on involves Darla and Bev, and they're at a diner, and they're ordering eggs. That's the main premise. There's more to it than that, of course. They're going to be talking about some important stuff regarding their present location at the time in the story. And the fact that they're also surrounded by vampires in the story. So that's the main premise of that episode. It's not, currently it's not like the most to go on. I'm definitely going to build on it. And I think that's part of why I'm a little bit hesitant on starting, because I don't feel fully prepared. I haven't given myself like all the elements together. But I will have something later on this week, that's for sure. That's for darn sure. Like I said, I've drawn 3 pages, but those 3 pages don't involve Darla and Bev. They involve Bobcat Jake. Those are the easiest pages to draw. Those pretty much every page involving Bobcat Jake has been like the easiest stuff to draw in season 2 of Trailer Park Warlock. I haven't really had to think too hard about it. Just kind of flows. Because a lot of that stuff is kind of like goofy gag type fare. So what I'm going to end up doing here with this drawing of Ridley is this is just like, this is a rough. I'm going to have to do another like more complete drawing. And then after that, I'll do an ink of it. But I haven't inked anything on this drawing yet. Nothing's been inked. Still just keeping it to the drawing stage currently. Just looking at this reference, and Ridley has like this patterning on their wings, his wings. So I kind of want to implement, but I'm not doing it right because it's actually hexagonal. There we go. So I think I'm going to finish this little rough drawing of Ridley, and then I'm going to let y'all go for the day. And I will have another video next week. And next week will probably be a video of me coloring, or actually, hopefully by next week I'm done with episode 40. You'll probably be seeing me work on episode 41. All right, here we go. I'm going to stop recording in just a moment. All right, y'all, whatever it is that you're working on, whatever it is that you're doing, hope it's going well. Hope you're having a good one. And I will talk to y'all later. All right, bye.